Grand, so welcome along to Lossie United's United We Chat, our, in theory, third edition, but our second, hosted by Ryan at the Lighthouse Podcast Studio. Great to have Scott Campbell along with us, team manager at the team that's in the North of Scotland League, our team that's in there. Apologies from John Todd, who couldn't make it today, which is a little bit disappointing, but we'll hopefully catch up with him later, so welcome along, Scott.
Perfect, thanks for having me. Looking forward to getting into a little bit about Lossie United and myself.
You're a dab hand at these, I see, because you've just done another one elsewhere, so we'll crack on with our own edition, see if we can rival them, seeing as they've name-dropped us a couple of times.
Fingers crossed I don't speak as much rubbish as I did on Sunday, so we'll see how that goes.
Grand, so we're obviously going to go today a little bit into your role at the club and your kind of journey, and just give us a little bit of insight as to what a manager at Lossie United has involved for you. Especially recently with some of the changes at the club. But it would be interesting, I think, for us to hear, because you're obviously one of the youngest managers in the league. Potentially the youngest.
Probably, yeah, I think I must be pretty
done my
close.
homework. Just a little bit about your football journey, because you are bucking the trend, I suppose, in regards to being the manager in your age.
Well, I probably look back to when I first kind of was associated with Lossie United. I'm from Lossie myself and played all my football in the town. Obviously I was with Elgin City as a youth, but came through it Lossie FC and then got to about 15, 16 and Lossie United gave me the opportunity to sign with them and get my first taste of adult football, which for me was a delight. It was great to play for my hometown team and really got my first taste of adult football. Yeah. That lasted kind of around about a year and a half, and I take it I did pretty well, and Lossie FC came in for me, and I moved on to there, and after that I kind of had a little pre-season with them and ended up actually out with Forest Thistle, one of Lossie United's rivals. But skipping on from that a few years, I had a couple of good seasons at Forest Thistle, back to Lossie FC for a little bit, and then my playing career, I think back 2019 would have been about 21, I think. 20, I'd kind of health kind of took a little bit of a turn, and I stepped away from football. And just around about that time, I happened to bump into Alex Lauriston at a cup final for Forest Thistle, played Dufton, and he spoke a little bit about his plans of taking Lossie United back into the junior leagues, and asked if I felt like I could play a part. And originally, or to start with, I was very much thinking I'm too young to go into coaching and management. I still would like to play, so the hope was let's get myself better and hopefully get back to playing where I can. If that was at Lossie United, great. I would have done that as well, but it didn't work out like that. I took a coaching role up alongside the Frazee, Kev at the time, and Scott Dunbar, and just kind of things went from there. Really enjoyed it, and in the January, Frazee kind of had to take a little step back from his role as manager, and Alex offered me the job. And at that time, at 24, it was quite an honour, a privilege to be asked to take on that role. It's a huge kind of, how do I say, it was just a great opportunity to take that and get that opportunity to go and kind of maybe take the club on a step or two. And I was really quite, at that point, kind of honoured, I should say, at the sport. I'm probably looking forward to get offered that. And straight away, it was a no-brainer, and things have just kind of spiralled and gone from there. And we're now in our fourth season in the junior leagues. And there's been a whole lot of success throughout that. A lot of kind of things that have maybe not quite gone to plan, but certainly we're in a place where we're proud to be in and looking forward to just kicking on, kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember you playing, actually. I mean, obviously quite a significant bit older than you, and playing you were very physical. I remember that, and I think I actually saw your first game for Lossie. I think you scored a free kick at Devon's side, if I remember right.
I think that was one of the pre-seasons, yeah. It was late on, I think, actually. I probably got us out of jail a little bit there because our friendly didn't quite go to plan, and ended up that was an equaliser, I think, to finish the game 3-3, which... I'm glad you mentioned that, because it wasn't a bad finish either, to be fair.
Wow,
so
good slip on it there.
Okay, cheers. But yeah,
and then I even obviously played with your dad as well against him. You'll be glad to know he's a bit older than me. So I knew your dad well, and then I remember making contact with you obviously after Alex about getting you involved, and I think you just kind of dipped your toe into the coaching to see how it went at that point. It's probably still, not to put words in your mouth, a bit hesitant as to what was the right choice for you at that point, and then you kind of just grew into it. And I think by the time that January came and offered it, actually, you were really enthused for it. You obviously found a passion for that, which was really pleasing, because it does show there's opportunities for people to be really involved in a game, even if it's unfortunately not on playing. Everybody wants to play as long as they can. And that's probably been too short for you, but you've grabbed the opportunity by both hands and done really well, so it's good.
Yeah, it's I look back. Was a mentally to think when I had to make the decision to back in play, and it was hard. It was something that I really didn't want to do. I've played football and been around football since I was probably 4 or 5 years old, from going to watch, you mentioned my dad play in the juniors for Bishop Mill, and that's just seeing actually what a junior team is about then. I've just always been involved in football in one way or another, either playing myself, watching my dad. And when it came to that kind of, I think it was like a May, June time, I knew I was pushing myself to do things that was not helping my health and wasn't getting me better. And the coaching role probably just worked perfectly at the time. And I did. I have fallen in love with it, and it's actually just become part of my life, and it's something that I'm really driven just to keep on progressing and hopefully keep being successful as well. And not just great. I want Lossie United to improve, but I've got ambitions and things that hopefully as I get older, there's maybe more opportunities for me at a different level or a higher level as well. And just who knows what can come. I'm still only 28, which I think I am the youngest manager in the juniors. I must be really close anyway. And what I've probably done in the experiences I've had in a 3.5 year, 4 year period is you can't buy that. And a lot of people, even at 35, 40, don't have probably the games under the belt that I have. And I think I'm waiting this season. I'm looking to probably have 150 games under my belt as manager, which I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah, so you should be 28. You've got now 40 years left.
If the wife lets me.
So just kind of reflecting a little bit to this season, in terms of team performance, what's kind of been your honest assessment of how we've got on, or Lossie United's performances have been? Is there particular aspects that have pleased you most, or particular areas apart from the obvious pick up more points, but areas of improvement, as you kind of adapt into the Premier League?
Look, I think to discuss this season, I need to touch a little bit on last season. And last season was, frankly, unbelievable what we achieved. In this very room, we reflected back on an unbelievable Scottish Cup win against Auchinleck. Was one of the moments throughout the season, but actually there was so many and some great results, and ultimately it resulted us in us winning the league and getting promoted to the Premier League. And I think having a season like we had last season, with the wins we kind of pulled together and the results we pulled together and the scalps we made of beating Auchinleck and beating Dice on penalties and Bridge of Dawn on penalties in the cup games and stuff like that, I think we actually, at that point when the season ended, we felt we were ready to go into that league. And despite a turnover of, I think, 10, 11 players left and 10, 11 came in, I still felt the squad in pre-season was really ready to go and compete in the Premier League. I think the quality that we've got throughout our squad is ridiculous. We have 26, 27 players that I think are all capable and deserving of playing in this league, which makes my job extremely hard picking that team. But I think every single one of them players drives each other on. And I think the way we started the season, I think in the first, maybe 8 or 9 games, there was only 3 defeats in there. And I think we shocked a few teams about how competitive we were, and that was really pleasing. I think despite that, we couldn't quite get 2 wins in a row at the start. It seemed to be win, draw, win, loss. But we had a really good start to the season, and I think until middle of September, we were in a really good place. I think we felt like we we were deserving of being in this league, and I still believe we are, but we then went on a spell from almost September to middle of November where we really found ourselves in a bit of a rut. I didn't want to call it a rut to the players at the time, but it was a difficult situation. I don't think... I'm not going to be... maybe... I'm not going to dice my words and saying we weren't good enough in that spell. And what disappointed me more is I think actually the work rate, the desire, the effort, the things that you are given for me, we weren't turning up, we weren't doing them things, and actually it resulted in us having some really difficult moments, and actually on the back of some really kind of tough results. And I think we had to lick our wounds at times, and we had to find a way to try and get out with this hole, and it took us a fair bit of time, and I still think we're in the process of doing that, but we kind of regrouped, we kept working hard, we kept pushing our ideas and tactics and working on things, and I think as November came and December, we started to kind of pull results a little bit better, the performances got better. Getting that result at Bankstown on that Friday night was probably a huge turning point for me. Then a really good home result against Longside, because they've been doing really well despite coming up with us this season. And then a performance against Dice just before Christmas, which, we got beat 3-0 that day, which still right now, I look back at that game, it's unbelievable that we got beat 3-0 because we were really competitive that game. Yeah. If anyone's seen the highlights back, you would have seen the opportunities we didn't take, and they got theirs a bit scrappy, and then unfortunately we didn't quite deal with that kind of... We capitulated a little bit the last 5-10 minutes, which we had to address and was disappointing. But the turn of the year, we've had, despite having no games since the 20th of December, I think if that's right, we have had 4 bounce games, friendlies. We've had a lot of training. We've had a lot of things put to the players to do over Christmas, from runs to circuits to making sure that when the first game in January came round, we were fly and ready to go. I said to the players that if we go and do all these things over the festive period, one thing's for sure is we're either going to gain on teams, we're going to do more than them, but if they do the same as us, we're not going to lose any ground on anyone. And we really pushed hard on making sure that the boys did that. And despite it now being February and we've still not had a competitive game, Saturday's looking like we will, but I feel the squad's in a really good place. We've added a couple of good players, and I feel like we're all hungry to go and really do well this second half of the season. It's been a learning curve this first 6 months because it's teams that we've know very little about. We've had no real experience of playing them, and look, we've just spoken about I'm young. I've not maybe got the experience of having been there, done that, or anything like that, but I feel like we've learned a lot about the squad, learned a lot about the teams we're away to play, and I'm hoping, in fact, I know we'll be better this second half of the season, and I know we'll pick up more points and certainly just keep motoring and hopefully can gain places and really kick on. And I think the management team that I've got around me now is really keen as well to keep pushing and keep doing the right things.
Yeah, certainly agree. I think from kind of obviously being involved initially and then stepping further away into the kind of committee, I think what's been pleasing to see is, despite the difficulties, there's a lot of unity still there. Everybody's working at the same goal. Don't feel there's any division at all. And even the change in management hasn't really created that, and that's a difficult thing to navigate, particularly during a season. And I suppose the improvements is, like you touched upon there, it's just learning, isn't it? Like who would really expect to come up at any league and cruise it? And you see that in leagues in professional where they've got financial backing and things like that. That's just not what happens in our league. So you've got to learn the different nuances of the league to try and do it. And I think we've got to use this year to try and learn what we can. So you're ready to go again. And at the minute, that's what you're doing for the second half of the season, and then you do it again for the next season. So it's been good. Still been very positive. Any particular ambitions for the rest of the season that you can obviously touched upon a little bit there? But
look, I think we're on 18 points at the moment, which, look, I maybe said on Sunday night in another podcast that wasn't too bad, but I think if I'm honest, I am slightly disappointed in that total. I think we're more than capable of having more than points than that. I think there's been a lot of games this season where we've been on the end of the odd goal here and there, and I feel like we've maybe deserved more, and we haven't got that. And I get you've got to earn that, but I do think we should have more points than we do. And it's brought us into a little bit of a, I don't know what I call it, a dogfight, but it's pulled us down closer to the bottom of the table than I would have liked. But I look at the teams round about us. I look at the teams at the top of the table and how well we've competed and also beat this season. And I do feel that we've got a target, the winning more games of football, and I think that's the bread and butter of it. And hopefully that will result in us, I think, being 12th at the moment, but hopefully just start to just make our way up the table. I don't think putting a points total or tally on it, I think that just adds pressure that you don't need.
Yeah.
We're all just focused on being better and being more competitive each game, and the players are really ambitious to kick on and hopefully finish this season on a high, which will then take us into pre-season next year with, the knowledge of what we've had for the past year,
Yeah.
and then allow us to kind of focus and really kick on. And we've got a lot of young players in this team, and the more games they play in this league, they will get better and they'll get more comfortable. And I think as that happens, we will just naturally get more points, and we'll continue to work on things in the training ground that I think we need to. But I think even just the knowledge and the know-how a little bit and the experience will really help us kick on.
Yeah, and it's back to cliches, and cliches are cliches for a reason, and that basically a game at a time, isn't it? And that's just, and there's no point getting too far ahead of yourself because you don't know what each game brings, and you're only as good as your last game almost. It's all cliches, but so true. New coaching team, obviously with Connor and Roscoe, and Danny's been joined in as well, previous player Danny. Just give a little bit of reflection about how that's going, maybe, and how has that changed anything in training or match setup and how they give a voice and so on. Could you give us a little bit about how that's working out?
Well, I first should mention it's funny that you're sitting across from me, but we've had obviously yourself and Tony and Scott kind of move on, change roles and stuff like that. That's purely circumstances. Out with a footballing perspective, I think that automatically when you see a coaching team disperse or move, everyone always thinks there's maybe a little bit more to it than there actually is. The fact that you're sitting across from me shows there's clearly not been a fallout. And Tony's just circumstances with youth football, and Scott with work, which, look, we're involved in a junior football team. None of us are getting our financial benefit from this. This is purely a hobby that was because I love the game. So, yeah, there was a little change in December, and straight away, well, Danny was obviously already kind of working with us, just slowly kind of coming in to support Scott. But Danny has been great with the goalkeepers. I think he's brought in some fresh ideas, some fresh drills. We've had the GoPros out at training just to look at kind of positioning and how your kind of things work, and goalkeeper kind of work that I'm no expert on, but Danny's really brought kind of a freshness to that. And I think Kyle and D-Day and Ryan, who's been training us from the amateur team, have really quite enjoyed that. And I think that's good. Hopefully going to kick on. Kyle, who is just a young lad who's come in from Huntly with probably a little bit of pressure because he's been brought in from a Highland League team and people are expecting of him straight away. But Kyle's been great. He had to wait his turn because of how good Stephen was last season. But this has been Kyle's season with D-Day coming in and out and D-Day supporting him as a second choice. D-Day's obviously looking to kind of step away from football and at the end of the season, but he's been there to help push Kyle. Ryan's been a great addition to be involved in training and help things. And having that three work with Danny has been great. And I think we're seeing the benefits because I think Kyle is getting better and better every game he plays. On Connor and Roscoe, they straight away stepped up when we were kind of in a little bit limbo, and straight away just demonstrated they're the perfect fit to come in and be. I call them both my assistant managers because I think none of them deserves a lesser title because they've been excellent, and a freshness is clearly what they've brought in, but they've also brought in slightly different opinions and different ideas. And even straight away, first game they were involved in, we changed shape a little bit. I took their thoughts and their opinions across, and I think actually I was fully with them. I think a player's perspective is always great, and I've always said to all my players that I'm an open guy. Come and speak to me if you feel there's anything or if you have an opinion that you want to share it. I'm not going to go in my shell and be like, no, it's my way or no way. We're all a team and work together, and Connor and Ross have been excellent at kind of offering their opinions. They've stepped up. I think they're their desire and their hunger to be successful as well, and ultimately grow themselves into a coaching role or a management role in the future. They won't like me saying this, not getting any younger, and they've still got ambitions to still keep playing, but natural age comes into this, and you do eventually step away from football. And I think already they've been a breath of fresh air, and they've been really helpful, and just, really just the different opinion, their thoughts is actually, I think, really galvanised us. They've got fresh ideas from what they want to do in training and drills, and also their whole attitude and stuff like that. I've just really loved, and I think straight away we changed shape after a kind of like that tough spell we had. Changed shape a little bit to a 5-3-2. We've kind of deployed players in slightly different positions, which probably maybe we thought wouldn't be as comfortable, but it worked for us. The Cooter game, albeit was a tough one away from home, but Cooter do that to a lot of teams. I mentioned that previously, but the Banks D game, really positive result. But the performance as well was excellent, and going on alongside in Dice, it's been the same, and I think that's purely down to a bit of kind of taking on their thoughts and boards and adapting us a little bit. And they also gave me an idea, put an idea in my head that actually I hadn't really thought about that shape, and I didn't see us maybe using that, but actually it's worked, and it has helped us, albeit that's more adaptable, and we're now got maybe a bit of mojo back, but they've been absolutely great, and I can't but thank them enough for being there and helping, because again, folk think that we're out here and we get paid for this. Actually, it's purely for the love of the game, and that's two people that clearly love football, and their experiences. Ross is in the Highland League, and who 12, 13 years I'd imagine he's played there now, and the goals he's scored and the experiences he's had throughout that has been you can't buy that. And Connor's experience in the Premier League, 10 plus years at Hermes, I believe, in that, so his knowledge has also been hugely beneficial to us as well, and he's given us snippets about teams that we don't quite know about. So both been great. I've got to say, I've still to mention Ali Bellingham as well, who's been on the coaching team for a while. He obviously he joined a similar boat to me, injury. Mine was health, but injury, and unfortunately he through that had to cut his playing career short. But he's been excellent as well. And Justine, should mention, I always say it, she's the team man, but sports therapist, just does so much for everyone. And then Ryan as well, the kind of man behind the scenes that makes everything techie. He's there with it and looks after the boys. The kits are all set up. Our social media is great because of him as well, and others. But we've got there's an army of us in it. I said it as well, that it takes an army to run a junior team, and that's not even mentioned the committee. But from a management and a coaching team, that I've got great people around me, and I think that's been a huge help in why we've been successful, and why things have worked out. And we're all, I should say, like united together to kick on and really make a really good go of this from the second half of the season and beyond. Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't echo your thoughts more. You absolutely need a strong team around you, and you speaking for you, have been blessed with lots of people that have done that, and it's so imperative. And hopefully through the podcast we'll be able to share a little bit about what they do as it goes on as well, because we'd really like to give them the opportunity to explain what they do at the club, and kind of pay our respects in some ways of the effort they go into that's so awfully not seen, isn't it? Yeah. And even in terms of, I know obviously we spoke a lot about the three that came in from the solely coaching point of view, but it has been really refreshing just to see new voices. I think all of them have a level of respect from the players as well. A bit like yourself, just age-wise, and obviously playing with them, and you need that instantly, that you need to have the respect from the players for them to then give them maximum effort back. But yeah, just like you said, enthusiasm, and even from my transition leaving and the change of shape, at that point it wasn't something I was even thinking about. It was just something that was really important, and I think having that, I think it's good for any club, and particularly something we welcome at Lossie United, where we're growing everybody, whether that's players, whether it's in committee, management and coaches coming through. I think that's really important, and so far has been really, really positive for the team, so that's been great. Yeah, I think I did make a joke at one point that Sir Alex changed his coaching team quite a lot, and it worked for him, so maybe it's sometimes you do need a freshness and a change of kind of also voice that just works. And the players, like I say, do respect Connor and Roscoe. And I feel we do have a team that is united to really push on. And they're all, whether it's somebody that's maybe on the bench for a few weeks, they're right behind the starting 11 and pushing them to get better. And they're also pushing to get themselves in that team as well. So it's, everything's going pretty well. And hopefully that reflects on Saturday and we can get it through the next round of the Cup as well.
Absolutely. Next question is kind of a little bit more personal to your journey again, but over the 3 years of being manager, which we're just past, what changes would you say you've seen in yourself? Because we've just obviously spoke about growing people, players, but a manager's part of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you've said, a lot of games that you've managed, but I'm sure your opinions or the way you deal with things have changed. And what changes do you think you've kind of made for yourself, or different approaches, or what have you kind of gleaned yourself over the 3 years?
I think the first thing I would mention is that actually that is one thing that I feel that I haven't changed is from day one is my commitment and what I offer from day to day to hour to game day to training to training is, I think, very rarely do I miss anything. Despite my wife probably dreads me, but I'm committed as anything to this club and committed to doing a good job. And actually, I think straight away that helped me earn the respect of a lot of the players.
Yeah.
Because at 24 and at 28 still, I have players that I have played with. I have players that have been my senior players when I played when I was younger. And sometimes that dynamic can be really difficult because, for example, looking at kind of Fraser Forbes, Ross Archibald, the two players that were my senior players when I came on the scene at Lossie, and two players that I looked up to and looked for advice and looked for that. And I think that dynamic can sometimes be really difficult because they might maybe not respect you as much, but you've got to work that a little bit harder and you've got to manage them a certain way. You've also got 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds coming through that you've got to manage them a different way. And what I really pride myself on is my player management. I would like to think a lot of the players see me as a friend, see me as a person that they can reach out to, but yeah, they respect me as a manager and they listen to me and they take my words and on board. But actually, I want to be a person that they can approach and kind of be open and honest and reveal things to me because I'm there to be there for them, not just from a football side, from a whole life side. And I think because of that, I think I've maybe got a little bit more out of each player because, well, I think I have, is because I feel that they will maybe just work that little bit harder for me. Yeah, you've got to work hard for yourself, but you've also got to have a manager that you feel believes in you. And every single player at this club, barring probably Christoph, Callum Carr, were probably here. They came in at the same time as me, them too, Harvey Kane as well. But everyone else has been signed under my kind of as manager. And I feel that them coming on board straight away shows that they obviously like me, believe in me, and trust the club to do right by them. But looking back, the things I've probably changed is the first season. A wise man once told me, might be sitting across from me, but he told me that didn't get too high with the wins and don't get too low with the losses. And I found that really difficult first couple of seasons because I'm passionate. I feel like I give everything to the club and the boys and the players, and then sometimes when you maybe don't come out on the end of a result, you take it really personally. You feel like, why has he not run that bit harder for me? Why has he not done that? And you look and you can be really self-critical, and I can take that. I have taken that into my Saturday nights. I've taken that into my Sunday, my Monday, and it can drag on a whole week sometimes. And I think what I've changed over this last probably year that is you don't win every single game of football. You're not going to get every single thing right. We're playing and managing at the level we are because there is mistakes in there and you do get things wrong. Happens at the top of the game, so of course it's going to happen on a bobbly pitch in Keith or Glentana or Dufton or even in Lossie. Things happen and things go wrong, and what I've maybe learned is how I reflect on them things and how you handle setbacks, but also how you handle successes. And again, it's not getting too high and it's not getting too low. And I think actually in that spell where we did have a really tough run of games and we didn't get any positive results. We didn't even get a point in that time. It was a really tough spell, and actually I found myself being even more driven to trying to sort it out. I didn't once think, "Oh, I'm just going to give up. I can't get this right." Or from week to week, I tried something different. We tried to change the team. We tried to change the shape. We tried to do something different in training. And I probably could have quite quickly got a bit disheartened by what was going on because it wasn't going right for us. But actually, probably my drive and that, I think it's 134 games I've had now. Not that I'm counting, but well, I do count. But that experience through all them games is I've realised that you've got to really digest games and really have that moment, have a bit of self-reflection, reflect on little things maybe that you didn't quite get right yourself, but also you're dealing with players that are playing in the 7th, 6th tier of Scottish football.
Mm-hmm.
They're not professionals. Things aren't going to go right and people are going to have bad days, but it's just how you handle them, how you pull people back up, and also how you keep people grounded and not get too excited. And that's probably my biggest thing I've learned over the last 3.5 years. And that's hopefully will result in us getting over this little spell we had, which I feel like we're already starting with the last 3 games before Christmas. And on Saturday, I'm really excited to get back back at the side of a pitch, get the boys back on the pitch, and hopefully really kick on this season. And that's it. And I think all the way back to summarise the very starters is still being committed, still being driven, still being there when it's pouring a rain or when it gets tough. I'm still there for every single player, and I'm so hungry, I should say, to really be successful and kick things on. Football's never going to be straightforward. Managers at the top level get sacked for losing 3 or 4 games in a row. I'm not at that level, and I've lost more games than I would have liked, but it's how you address them and how you deal with them. And I think with the people around me and with my just like knowledge and hunger to do that, it's going to result in us being a better team overall. And I think that, like you say, step by step, game by game, and hopefully I can still keep learning and keep progressing us.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well, that you're humble within it and that you know there's lots to learn. It doesn't matter what age you are, what you've been through. Everybody's got lots to learn, haven't they? And that can only benefit yourself and others. And yeah, I always was a big believer in the not too high, not too low. Learned the hard way as well. But it's also important for you, your longevity within your hobby and just your own personal life as well, because it can really sabotage everything if you really let it get hold of you. So yeah, it's important. You can still show passion without losing the head,
I think actually as well, I've got to mention that I'm so fortunate at home with a wonderful wife that like doesn't just let me go and be involved in football. She's there pushing me on, but also, despite her, I shouldn't say not knowing anything about football, but it's not her passion, but her advice sometimes just puts things into perspective. And actually, becoming a dad in November puts things in perspective. That football, as much as we're all passionate and love it, and yeah, that'll never change for the rest of my life. I'm absolutely sure of it, but you've got to put things in perspective, and you've got to realise that there's things bigger than football, but we're all here for a reason. We're all here to be successful, and you're either all in or all out, and I'm all in, and I would expect that from all my players as well to be all in. And I think if they're not, they do eventually get found out and move on, because I want players that are themselves hungry to kick on and progress. Every single player in the team that we've got right now, I hope they either want to get better or they want to either step up a level or just improve themselves in this league. We've got players that have also come down that I'm sure are hungry still to have successful careers and finish their careers in the best way. And that's the same with us all. Committee as well. We're all hungry to really kick things on. So hopefully that keeps happening and we'll keep driving that on.
Indeed. So last kind of bit, obviously looking at Lossie United in its entirety, even if you can try and think away from, was a lot of it's channeled to your role, and what in the kind of time is kind of pleased you most about what Lossie United's grown from to where it is today and hopefully going in the future?
Look, I think we are really fortunate as a club, and I'm speaking as the whole club now, not just my role, is that we are so fortunate that we're in a town and a community there that actually want us here as a football team, and they support us, whether that's just being there to watch games of football, or from all our sponsors that sport like kind of put money towards us. Their hard-earned money is what ultimately we need to kick on. Without them, there's no Lossie United. There's absolutely nothing. There's not a football team. But what pleases me the most about Lossie United, and what I'm really proud to be a part of, is we're not just a football team. I think we have created a big family, a community with so many people now playing football, from young kids to having the amateur team to having the first team obviously as well, and it's really been great to see the club go from like strive forward. I think the fact that we now have a social club is great because we're now able to branch out and just overall just help people. Football directly helped me from probably a really dark place. I think mentally I was in a place where I was a little bit kind of, I would never say depressed, I would never get to that point, but I was really low, and I found myself battling an illness that I couldn't quite get under control. I found myself living from day to day with not really much purpose. I was going to work and that was about it. And actually football's given me a freshness and really pulled me out of a dark place to a place where that really quite a happy guy. But I hope now as a community and as a club we can do that for more people, whether it's a player that plays for us on a Saturday or a Friday night, or it's a 3 to 8-year-old that kicks the ball for the first time.
Yeah.
Also the little things that we've done over the Christmas period and the festive period about supporting some of the older people in the town, and just little things that we're now looking at. I'm seeing that the social club now are looking to start a kind of toddlers group, which, look, we've gone from being a football team and the priority was being a football team, but quite quickly that the club has developed into a thing that we can benefit so many people. And I think in a world where there's so much negativity, if we can just sprinkle a little bit of positivity on anyone that kind of comes and watches us, or even just plays a small part in our club or this community that we've created. And I want to add that there's two teams in this town, and Lossie FC are working just as hard and working together with us to achieve that. And I think if us two football clubs can be successful and on the football pitch, but from benefiting the community around about us, I think that's really what we should be proud about. We can win trophies, which that's my job, that's what I want to do, but if we can just keep pushing on as a club, which we are, and I think all the little things we've done is I'm really quite proud of, despite it's not just been me, it's been an army of people that have done that, but to have been kind of at the club as a 15, 16-year-old, to see it then fold and go in, or if I have a 6-7 year abeyance and where we weren't involved in the football. And I think actually there was a huge hole in Lossie as a town that missed that junior team being there.
Yeah.
And when we came back straight away, you just felt like the support in the town. And now it's our turn to give a little bit back. And I think already we're doing that. And I know the committee are driven to do that and just benefit anyone we can, whether it's somebody passing in the street or somebody that comes and watches us every single week. And that's the big thing for me as the club, and something that I'm probably the most proud of is that I played a little bit of a part in creating a environment and creating a club that is bigger than just football. You could go to the individual achievements of that Auchinleck game and that championship winning the big kind of games where we've had really good results, but I think overall think we've done a lot more than that, and that's something I think that's probably the proudest thing. I think
we were all kind of pulled into the club with that kind of vision anyway of supporting the community, and I don't think there's any pretense from MD at the club that we want to be supporting our community because they also support us back.
100%.
And the club wasn't sustainable because it went into abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word?
I don't know. Yeah,
We'll check it later.
Yeah, we'll check it.
But obviously it wasn't sustainable, and to make the club sustainable, we need to work well with our community, do the right things, support the community, and as you've said, we've already seen a lot of support back from them. So I feel that the club's just at that point now where we probably are going to give more than we have previously over the last 3.5 years through the social club and through, as you may know now, the accreditation that we're kind of building now with Murray Council. Probably should give a shout out to Robin Partison, who helped us massively with that, and there's accreditation through the SFA, so that we are getting a platform to build partnerships with people in our community so that that's sustainable as well, so that everybody's helping each other. And what you're doing is creating the platform to help us help other people as well. And we still get to see football on the pitch, which is what we all really enjoy as well. So it works well for everybody. So that's been great. I really appreciate you coming in, giving us a bit of an insight. We're going to do a little plug for the casino night because the committee wouldn't I'll let me get away without that. So we've got a casino night coming up on the 28th of February. Numbers are very good. We would say that anyway, but they are actually genuinely very, very good. Guidi's Restaurant, who's been a keen supporter, £60 for a ticket, which gets you a 2-course meal, a welcome drink, and £20 worth of free chips. And there is cash prize to win for it as well. It's always been a good night. I think this might be our last one for a little bit because we're going to just try other avenues as well. But yeah, there's probably some tickets. There is definitely some tickets, but it's not a ridiculous amount. So join us for that if you can. Like I say, a great night. And just finishing up by saying that we're hoping to use the podcast just to get some other people, like we've mentioned, from our community, maybe our little kickers, some of the coaching team, whether it's looking at Justine, Roscoe and Connor and so on, and see if we can get some of them in just to spread a little bit about what Lossie United does. So thank you again, and thank you once more to the Lighthouse Podcast Studio for supporting us, another one of our local supporters within our community.
Oh, perfect, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.